Hello friends, compliment of the season and welcome back to my channel. I know that this may not be your first video on Princess That Bustier, but I assure you, after watching this video, you will not have any issue with Princess That Bustier again. I will be explaining in details for the sake of beginners. So for our Princess That Bustier, then the first thing I'll be doing is to cut out the material. We cut out our material using the biggest parts of our body, the biggest measurement. For instance, for the upper part of the dress, the bust is always the biggest measurement. But if you measure the waist of maybe 50 inches, then the bust of 48 inches, you cut out the material using the waist measurement. So but for this dress, I'll be cutting it out using the bust measurement of 38 inches and the waist measurement, the waistline or the half length of 16.5 inches. So the bust measurement is 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5, plus extra 5 inches allowance, at least 5 inches allowance for the Princess That. Then the length is 16.5. I'll add 2 inches allowance for it before cutting it out. So 16.5, I'll mark 18.5. Please watch to the end so you will not miss anything. So I'll use the same measurement to cut out the back side. Okay, I will now put our measurement. So the first thing is to mark the shoulder measurement of 8 inches. Then I will also mark the neckline measurement of 4 inches. From the shoulder measurement, I will come down by 1 inch. I will slant the shoulder measurement by 1 inch. Then the next thing I'll be doing now is to add ½ inch for the allowance, for this shoulder allowance. The reason I'm adding this ½ inch is, you know, this is Princess That. I wouldn't want a situation, maybe after sewing it, the breast point may go upper. Maybe after stitching it, the breast point may go up. So to avoid that, I will add ½ inch for the shoulder allowance, so that every measurement will remain in place after sewing it. Now from this shoulder allowance, I will mark my armhole measurement. The armhole measurement, you know how we get our armhole measurement: bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So the armhole measurement I'm working with is 7.8, almost 8. So I'll mark it at 8 inches. Then I will trace it, I will mark it down. So I will now place the bust measurement on this part. The bust measurement is 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5. I will mark it here. Then the half of this armhole measurement is 4. I will mark ½ inch from the midpoint, then connect it to the armhole. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I'll now go ahead and mark the neck depth of 5 inches and connect it. I will now place my vertical measurement. I will place my breast point. I will mark my breast point measurement of 10.5. Then the under bust 14.5 and the half length 16.5. I will now place the bust span measurement. The bust span is the distance between your nipple to nipple. Then the distance between the nipple to nipple is 7. So half of it is 3.5 plus ½ inch allowance. So on this breast point, I will mark 4 inches. I will mark 4. Then at the under bust and the half length, I will mark 3.5. I will minus ½ inch. Then I will connect them together. Now to determine where I will place the princess dart curve, I will measure the armhole. Whatever I get, I will divide it by 2. So as you can see, it's 9.5. So 9.5 divided by 2 is 4.7. So I will mark at that 4.7. So from that 4.7, I will now connect it to this breast point. Hope we are following. Now to have a well-fitted princess dart bustier that is not too big or too small for your bust, just a well-fitted princess dart bustier, you have to know your breast cup size. And to determine that breast cup size is the distance from your nipple breast point to your under bust. That's the distance from this point to this point. That is your breast cup size. Then to know that your bust circumference minus your under bust, then divided by 2. So if the bust circumference is 38 and the under bust is 36, 38 minus 36 is 6 inches divided by 2, that is 3 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches on the under bust here. To avoid having a sharp mouth, I will come down here by 1 inch. Then from that 1 inch, I will give it a curve. I will give it a nice curve to that. Hope you are following. Now the next thing is, on this armhole, I'm going to mark 1.5, and that 1.5 I will divide it by 2. That is 0.7 on this side, 0.7 on this side. I'll also mark one inch up here to also give it a nice curve. So I'll connect the lines together. This 3 inches that I marked here, I'll bring it down to the waist line. I'll bring it down to the waistline. On this part, this 1.5, I'll be cutting it out, and because of that I will extend this 1.5 to this point so that after sewing it, it will align with this side. So I'm going to extend this by 1.5. I'll also mark 1.5 here. Then I will now connect it together. The next thing I'll be doing now is to place my horizontal measurement. So for the bust measurement, our bust measurement is 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5. Then plus this 9.5 plus this 1.5 inch that I already marked, then 2 inches for the sewing allowance. Now on the waist measurement, on the under bust measurement is 32 divided by 4, that is 38, that is 8 inches. Then this is the 8 inches. I will add these 3 inches that I'll be cutting out. I will replace it from this point. So this is the 3 inches plus 2 inches for the sewing allowance. I'll also do the same thing on the waistline. The waistline is 34 inches, that is 8.5. I'll replace these 3 inches, then plus 2 inches for the sewing allowance. I will now connect the lines together. If you like this video, what are you still waiting for? Please give it a thumbs up. I will now go ahead and cut out the material. I will now go ahead and cut it out. Please, if you are yet to subscribe, do that. It won't cost you anything. Do that now. Thank you. Because of that 1.5 inches I extended to this point, if I want to join this now, you will see that the both sides will align after joining. You will see it. So that is the reason for adding that 1.5. I will go over to the back side. Now for the back side, The first thing is to mark my zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll mark it down. Then from that zipper allowance, I'll place the rest of the measurement. I'll mark the shoulder measurement of 8 inches. Then the neckline of 4 inches. Then I will now slant the shoulder with 1 inch. I'll slant the shoulder by 1 inch. I'll also mark my half inch for the shoulder allowance. From that half inch, I will place my armhole measurement of 8 inches. Now I'll place the bust measurement of 9.5 inches. Then I will now give it a curve. The difference between the back side and the front part is that I will just curve it like this. I will no longer come out by that half inch. So I'll just curve it from this line. That is it. Now I will now place the neck depth of 1.5 inch and connect. Now I'll also place my breast point measurement of 10.5, under bust 14.5, then half length 16.5. Then from this breast point measurement, I'll mark the bust span measurement of 4 inches on the breast point, 3.5 on the under bust and on the waistline, and I will now connect it together. Now to determine the princess dart curve for the back side, I will also measure, instead of marking that 4.7 that I marked for the front part, I will go up by 1.5 inches so that it will have a nice curve on the back side. So from there, I will now trace it up this way. I will also place the horizontal measurements for the back side, then the bust measurement of 9.5 plus 2 inches. Meanwhile, before then, I will extend this side by 1 inch. I will extend it by 1 inch, then connect it to the shoulder, to the armhole, sorry. Now I will place my measurements, the bust measurement of 9.5 plus 2 inches allowance. Now the under bust measurement of 32, that is 8 plus 2 inches allowance. Now the waist measurement of 34, 8.5 plus 2 inches allowance. I will now go ahead and connect the lines together before cutting. So this is it also for the back side. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please, I encourage you to do that. I know you will not regret that. Thank you so much for watching to the end. See you in my next tutorial.